and welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. In an earlier episode, I talked about the Thunder Tiger 112 scale Toyota Hilux, and in this episode I want to talk about a little upgrade that I've done to it. So we'll just put the chassis away for a moment and focus on the body. I also wanted to apologize real quick. In the background it might seem a little noisy, and that's because it is absolutely pouring rain outside, and I've done the best I can to isolate that, but unfortunately we can still hear it. So my apologies again if you are hearing some background noise. As you can see, this body has a couple of holes in the headlight, and that's just how it came, but that got me thinking. A lot of people with little crawlers or scalers really enjoy some additional scale lighting. Well, with these polycarbonate bodies, it's a little bit harder to do, especially when they come painted. But I think we have solved the problem. I've designed a simple little accessory here that will allow you to drill out the front holes in the polycarbonate, and at the rear bond a small bucket to the inside of the body, which will distribute light just in the small area where the taillight is. And I'll talk about how to do that in just a moment. In the meantime, let's go ahead and cut these headlights out further. Now the way this works is this headlight bucket goes behind the body, and this headlight lens will pop into these two holes through the front of the body. Thusly, you'll sandwich the two together like that, and that will hold it in place with the addition, of course, of some adhesive. Now, what I want to do still is go ahead and paint these, probably a silver color so there's a little more light reflection, but we still need to make these holes. The hole you want to make here is between 12 and 12.5 millimeters. And the good news is this truck body comes with a template already. 12.5 millimeters, or round about there, is the area inside the chrome ring. So this area with the little black outline inside the little chrome is the size of the hole that we need. If you have one of these body post reams here, these work fantastic. In fact, this one goes up to 14. Unfortunately, I don't think I can use this here because the hole isn't centered. So when you do make the hole, please ensure that you center it as good as possible. I was actually able to line this hole up, so it's working pretty well. Please be careful as well, because you can see how much of this ream is sticking through, and these are insanely sharp. So do use some caution. And if you don't have one of these reams, I want you to go buy one because they work fantastic. And there's one hole. We'll do the same to the other. Once the hole has been drilled out, the sticker's hanging over a little bit, so you might want to take a blade and just very carefully just trim it out a little bit. This is not going to cause any mechanical problems, but cosmetically it might be a little ugly, so you might want to just get rid of that a little bit. Now that these are all clean, we can take our headlight buckets and install them. My recommendation is to paint these silver and do a couple of coats of black at the rear, and that's going to prevent light bleed. The silver on the inside just helps with some reflection, and I would do the same with the rear buckets as well. Go ahead and snip the headlights off of their housings. They're attached in a little bit of a weird spot, but that was just all I could do to get them to be on the sprue. I'll paint the black once they're on, and here you can see how the headlights are attached. We'll just cut it at the smaller diameter. 1, 2, and at this point here, you just hold the headlight bucket in place. I'm going to have it so that the small pins are horizontal, kind of like that. And we'll have our headlight door installed. Now, if you want to go a little bit further with this, like I'm going to do, you can go ahead and paint the small trim ring around the headlight door. It's hard to see, of course, on camera, but there's a very small boss that will allow you to detail that. So the lenses and the buckets are installed. What I want to do now is ensure that they don't move, so I'm going to apply a little bit of glue around the perimeter. If you do want these a little more transparent, shoot them with some clear, and you can even color sand the fronts a little bit. We'll turn our attention to the rear. Now, this body, again, came painted, so that's going to pose a little bit of difficulty to get light through here, but the good news is this is nothing more than polycarbonate. So with an X-Acto knife, I'm able to just come in here and scrape off some of the paint in the area where the taillight is going to be. So the taillight will actually have some light dissipation along the side as well. And then we'll have it come along the side just a bit. Be careful you don't scratch the paint off in an area where you want there to be paint. Again, I painted the insides of these silver, and once they're glued in place, I'll paint the outsides black. These are not the same for each side. In fact, if you look at the rears, you can tell that they are slightly curved in toward the top. And the way this works is the curve goes to the outside of the body. If you look at the rear, the truck curves in at the top. So this one here will go right in the back, just like that. As with the front, you want to use a little bit of clear shoe goo. That's basically a silicone adhesive that's very flexible. Be careful because you don't want to use something that dries hard, since the flexing of the body could cause the glues to crack and potentially take the paint along with it. So a flexible glue is the way that you want to go. So in the back, I have applied a liberal amount of liquid electric tape. It's hideous, but it does really prevent with light bleed, so I like to use it despite its subpar looks. We'll put some 5mm LEDs inside. Okay, so put that in here, and usually I'll hold the LED in with some of that shoe glue as well. So we'll put both of them in the front, and at the rear, this light set came with 3mm LEDs, and the rear LED buckets can be drilled out from 3 to 5. There's just a thin wall that gives it that 3mm diameter. In some cases, you'll find 5mm diameter LEDs at the rear, but usually they are going to be 3mm. All the LEDs are in their buckets, and I went ahead and shut the lights off, so let's turn them on. And that looks great. There's no weird glows around the perimeter, and I think that's really getting the point across that these headlights were supposed to be there. At the back, you can see the lighting there. Let's try and cover that up. And I did a pretty good job of lining that up. This weird little kind of splotchiness there is actually the decal. The decal has this erratic look on it, but I think overall you're going to get the idea that the tail light is on, and again, it's a directed light. It's not illuminating a giant corner of the back of the body, so I think that looks pretty good. Well, folks, that's going to conclude this installation. It was very, very simple, and it's just nice to see that a little can go a long way. Even though these lights are designed for this body, the basic principle can apply to a lot of your RC cars whose Lexan bodies did not come with any headlights. I am looking to do the same thing with one of the newer Traxxas TRX4 cars. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those bodies right now, but it's definitely on my list of things to do because I really do like the overall look of properly operating headlights. That is going to conclude this episode, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.